Grace to you, peace from God our Father, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. It is April 1st today, which means, among other things, that it is getting to be the end of avalanche season in the Rocky Mountains. It's a good thing because there are always plenty of fatalities every year. There's only been one in Colorado this year, but there have been 19 across our country this past winter. Avalanches are a dangerous thing. If you get caught in the snow and the ice sliding down those steep mountain peaks at such incredible speed and force that it covers everything in its path, you can't really do much about it. You can't run away from it, you can't overpower it, you certainly can't hold it back. Avalanches are definitely not the only natural weather phenomenon that can create some destructive force. April also happens to be the month where the beginning of tornado season starts in the Midwest states. Tornadoes, of course, are known to rip entire trees out of the ground, toss vehicles through the air, disintegrate buildings, cut a path through the earth, leaving a whole bunch of debris in its wake. When a tornado comes, you can't outrun that either. You can't overpower that either. You can't hold that back either. Wildfires in this area of the world can burn up to 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit and spread across the land at a rate of 13 miles an hour when there is some dusty grass and dry forest. When wildfires get close to a house, people have to evacuate. No matter how much water they have on hand, you can't hold it back. Hurricanes destroy coastal towns every year. They bury small islands underwater. They are able to crush an infrastructure of an entire country in one fell swoop, with winds up to 180 miles per hour and waves that reach 100 feet high. People can stack sandbags and they can board up windows. But when a hurricane hits dead on with full force, you can't hold it back. If these incredibly powerful acts of nature cannot be held back by anyone in this world, who could possibly hold back the God who creates and controls them? Pontius Pilate thought he would try. Pontius Pilate was the Roman governor stationed in Jerusalem during the last few years of Jesus' life, and he decided, prompted by the Jewish leaders, that he was going to try to hold back Jesus and his promises on Easter Sunday morning. Not surprisingly, it didn't work. Because just like no one can hold back the acts of nature, no one can hold back the acts of God. This is what Pontius Pilate and the Jewish leaders tried to do anyway on Saturday morning before that Sunday. We read from Matthew chapter 27. The next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. "Sir," they said, "we remember that while he was still alive, that deceiver said, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' So give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the 3rd day. Otherwise his disciples may come and steal the body and tell the people that he has been raised from the dead. This last deception will be worse than the first." "Take a guard," Pilate answered. "Go make the tomb as secure as you know how." So they went and made the tomb secure by putting a seal on the stone and posting a guard. So the Jewish leaders had heard what Jesus said. They knew he had predicted he would rise from the dead 3 days after he died. They just didn't actually believe he would do it. They were more afraid of his disciples stealing Jesus' body under the cover of darkness and then convincing people that a resurrection had really taken place. And so Pontius Pilate, along with these Jewish leaders, were determined to make sure that nothing like this happened. First of all, they posted a guard of soldiers to make sure that if anyone showed up to the tomb uninvited, they would be quickly shoved away. Secondly, they placed a seal on the tomb, a seal of the Roman governor himself, so that if anyone even had an inkling of breaking in there, they would be quickly deterred by the consequences of breaking a seal like the one with the Roman procurator's signet ring on it. Number 3, there's a big stone in front of the entrance. A stone so large that the women who came the next morning, on Sunday morning, didn't really know how they were going to get in because the rock was far too big for them to roll away on their own. Stone, a seal, and soldiers. The Jewish leaders and Pontius Pilate were convinced that these 3 things would be able to stop any trickery whatsoever. These 3 things would be able to hold the Lord and His promises back. Not quite. Jesus rose from the dead anyway. On Sunday morning, Jesus took His life back up again without disturbing anything that Pontius Pilate and the Jewish leaders set up. He didn't need His disciples to come under the cover of darkness and steal His body away. He didn't need anyone to break the Roman seal without being caught. He didn't even need anyone to roll the rock away from the tomb so that He could get out. Those things certainly happened. The rock was rolled away and the seal was certainly split. And those soldiers were definitely subdued, but not so that Jesus could come out of the tomb. All of these things happened so that everyone else could look into it. And Jesus rose from the dead by His own power in His own way. But He wanted to make sure that everyone who looked into that tomb that day knew for a fact that nothing could hold back the Lord. This is what happened to the stone and the seal and the soldiers early that Sunday morning. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and going to the tomb rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and His clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of Him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the women who had come to the tomb, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, He has risen, just as He said. Come and see the place where He lay." The soldiers could not hold Jesus back from doing what He promised. In fact, their legs gave out from under them when they saw the face of the angel. The seal could not hold Jesus back from doing what He promised. God's power and authority overruled any impression from a first century signet ring. The stone couldn't hold Jesus back from doing what He promised. The earthquake that announced the arrival of the angel from heaven as he simply brushed away that stone was proof enough that it was a pointless exercise to even cover this entrance to this particular tomb. Nothing could hold Jesus down that day. Nothing could hold Jesus away from those He loved. Nothing could hold Jesus back. Nothing ever will. A few years ago, I was talking to a Christian man who was struggling with his faith, struggling with God's promises to him. He had done something horrible in his past, and he was still feeling guilty about it and still dealing with the consequences of it. He did not know how he could possibly serve the Lord in any capacity or even be considered a child of God because of his sin. What sin? I ended up saying to him. You mean that one sin out of the millions of sins that Jesus died on the cross for? You mean that one sin out of the billions upon billions of sins throughout this world that Jesus sacrificed himself for? You mean that one sin out of the innumerable sins that Jesus left lying in the tomb along with his burial clothes when he rose from the dead? Jesus forgave you for that sin. Jesus left it behind him. He's moved on. You can too. I don't know if this man still struggles with what he had done in the past, but he doesn't have to. And neither do you. The same promise that the Lord gave to him, he gives to you every day. And that promise is, no one can hold Jesus back. No one can hold Jesus back from forgiving you. No one can hold Jesus back from showing his love to you. No one can hold Jesus back from carrying out his promises to you. And his promises to you include protecting you, providing for you, being with you, looking out after you, and ultimately guaranteeing you a place in heaven because of the sacrifice on the cross and the victory that he secured at the empty tomb. Nothing is ever going to be able to stop Jesus from fulfilling his promises to you, no matter how big of a sin it may seem to be. And we are responsible for some big ones, aren't we? Each one of us has our own growing collection of past incidents, some of which still haunt us to this day. And then you add on top of that some of these really unfortunate personality traits that we can't get rid of. And then you add to that these internal struggles that don't go away. And then you add to that the slew of issues that we don't want anyone else to know about. And sometimes who we are can almost seem to be overwhelming. And the thing of it is, we're going to continue to have these struggles. We'll continue to have those days and we just can't seem to do anything right. We will continue to have those moments at night as we stare up at a dark ceiling and are just overburdened with the guilt from another day gone by. And those little sparks of doubt start jumping around in our head as we think to ourselves, have I finally gone too far? Have I gone too past over the line? Is there just too much sin, too much garbage in my life for the Lord ever to want to deal with me ever again? Have I passed the point of no return? The answer to that question is always no. You haven't passed the point of no return. You are never too deep into it. You are never too far away. You are never too far gone. Because remember, nothing can hold Jesus back. His forgiveness covers everything. His grace reaches to the ends of the earth and back again. His love reaches down into the deepest, darkest crevices of your heart and pulls you out into the dawn. Nothing can hold Jesus back. Nothing can hold Jesus back from you. Not sin, not guilt, not fear, not pain, not even death. And that is exactly why we're here this morning. To celebrate Jesus' victory over death, even though no one thought he would do. He predicted it. He even specified the timing of it. But Pontius Pilate kind of brushed it aside, and the Jewish leaders thought it was a ruse, and the people living in Jerusalem that day scoffed at the claim. Jesus' own disciples didn't even grasp what Jesus could do and what Jesus would do. But Jesus promised to beat death. And so on Easter Sunday, he beat death. Because not even death could hold Jesus back. And if Jesus' own death couldn't hold him back, your death doesn't have a chance. At the very moment you die, Jesus will immediately take you into heaven, where you are going to join all those people before you who believed in Jesus as their Savior. Because Jesus will not let death be the end of you. Jesus will not let death have the final say. Jesus has the final say. And we see that in our story today on Easter Sunday. The soldiers tumble to the ground. The seal is split. The rock is rolled away. The angel comes down. And Jesus shatters death. He shatters his death. He shatters your death. He shatters all death for all people of all time. And now he lives. But he does not just live. Jesus lives for you. Easter Sunday is not just about Jesus showing up. Easter Sunday is about Jesus showing you that you will live too. Keep that in mind as you go through some hairy situations in this life. Keep that in mind as you have to face difficult problems and some heartbreaking and heart-wrenching circumstances in this world. Jesus lives for you. And nothing can hold him back. You have a better chance of holding back an avalanche with the palm of your hands than anything has a chance of holding back Jesus from you. You have a better chance of holding back a tornado with a leash. You have a better chance of holding back a hurricane with the breath of your mouth. You have a better chance of holding back a wildfire with a drop of water than anything has a chance of holding back Jesus and his powerful love from you. Nothing can stop Jesus. Nothing has ever stopped Jesus. Nothing ever will stop Jesus. Soldiers, a stone, a seal, a rabid crowd, religious leaders, government officials, sin, hell, death. No problem. No problem at all. Because nothing can hold Jesus back. And now that he lives, he promises that nothing will hold him back from you. Amen.